Hello and welcome to A Word with Ward, a podcast focused on the high-growth world of data centers. In Series 1, I speak with some of the most prominent entrepreneurs of the industry. Those who've either already founded, scaled and exited businesses in this space, or who are currently on that journey. If you've got an interest in the industry, these are the people that you're going to want to hear from. I think I'm going to learn a thing or two along the way, and if you give it a listen, you might too. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by my guest, Daniel Efrati, CEO and co-founder of NED Data Centers, which is creating the future of digital infrastructure in the Middle East. Daniel is a chartered accountant and former investment banking executive, with experience in executing equity and debt placements and M&A transactions globally. Prior to founding NED, he had been involved in over $250 million of data center M&A and financing deals. Hi, Daniel. Good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Ward. Good to be here.
Okay, so look, I've already given the listeners a brief snapshot of your background, but as you rightly pointed out to me when we first spoke, you and your co-founder Shelley Landsman are a fairly unique and refreshing pairing as data center entrepreneurs. Can you talk to me a little bit about that and what you were both doing before you got together and founded NED Data Centers?
Yeah, so that's actually a very interesting story because we came from different parts in the data center industry. So I used to be an investment banker in the US, and Shelley used to run Microsoft Israel. And during the pandemic, we thought it would be a great idea to open up shop in Israel and open a data center operating company. And with my experience in the US, which is a more evolved market than Israel and other markets in EMEA, I understood, what is the data center space, how you should address it, and how do you finance a data center and operate it. And 2020 was, the tipping point for the data center industry in Israel, as the Israeli government basically opened its gates to Western hyperscalers. And then data centers in country shifted from basement style under a mall or a bowling alley data centers into really mega massive data centers as we are building today at NED. And Shelley saw this vision from a client perspective, as did I. And we decided to basically take, the client needs and knowledge that came from Microsoft with Shelley's background and my knowledge from an investment banking perspective of how data center operate from the financial side. And we established with David Bloom, who came with a really strong operator background out of the UK. We founded NED with a fresh idea of bringing operating methodologies from tier one markets in Europe, with focusing on client needs, with global client needs to the Israeli market. So instead of having basement style facilities as a part of a mixed use building, the 2, 3, 4 megawatt sites, we are building campuses which are growing incrementally. And for instance, now we are building a 30 megawatt campus. So it can sound like a small campus from a tier one EMEA market or globally, but for such an early stage market like Israel, this is pretty massive. So we are trying to bring and combine our global experience with local expertise, empowering the future of data centers in country. And it's really exciting because we're just coming with fresh ideas, trying to change market dynamics. And it has been a challenging journey, definitely.
Great. And you mentioned David Bloom there. So David's quite a well-known figure in the industry in the UK in particular. I had David on the podcast recently. So can you talk to me a little bit about how that relationship came about and where David's adding value for you?
Yeah, so when we came up with the idea of opening a data center platform, you don't have many data center entrepreneurs. at least, and your podcast is very interesting because, you've gathered data center entrepreneurs from all over the world. And our industry is an interesting one. And not many young entrepreneurs come and say, I want to be a data center entrepreneur, So Israel is predominantly high-tech driven. So you see a lot of, young people coming out of, university, going to open a startup in the cyber business or in the e-commerce business. And we opened a startup in the data center business and came out to the market, and looked for capital, looked for partners. And we sent a couple of meetings, and I heard about this guy who has a real affinity to Israel that opened up a data center operator out of the UK, and who's looking at the market and very interested in doing something in Israel, because he truly has this belief that data centers are growing around the world and every country needs its own digital infrastructure, etc. And someone put us in contact, and after 2-3 calls, we saw that we basically have the same vision. We have the same vision for NED, which is being an Israeli operator with a global outreach. And we formed a partnership. We opened up NED, and now we are building our first mega campus in Israel, with 2 more to come afterwards. So it has been great.
Okay. And look, I think it takes a special type of personality to found and operate a business like this. There's a lot of risk involved from a capital deployment point of view. There's a huge amount of criticality when it comes to engineering, design, construction. Yeah, I'm always interested to understand, the burning motivation that led an entrepreneur to the point of founding a business. So, can you talk to me around, why you're so motivated and what it is that you want to achieve with NED?
So what first sparked my enthusiasm for data centers was a couple of financial deals that I had done in the US. And when the first time I've seen a data center deal, I was like, this asset is kind of odd, right? So you have those multinational global end users occupying an asset which is very far from the city center. You can't evaluate it as real estate. Something is odd. You wanna raise money based off power dirt and some clients in another data center in the other side of the country. What is this? And when I started going deeper and deeper into the industry and understanding the demand and understanding how a data center looks like and what's going to happen in the world of digital infrastructure, it got me really interested. And I said, wow, this is something that has to be disrupted. But the US was a saturated market even back then. We're talking 2017, 2018. And when the opportunity arose to come back to Israel, I decided that that's the right thing for me. And I did it, one, because the industry is just fascinating, and second, because I wanted to build infrastructure in a country which lacks a lot of infrastructure to innovate. And as I mentioned before, we are building data centers which were never seen before in the local landscape, both from a design perspective, from an operating perspective, and most important, from a scale perspective and a sustainability perspective. So we build all of our data centers in the highest LEED/BREEAM standards, because we truly believe that clients, even in accepting regions such as Israel, are looking to have green energy and stay in a green building that, empowers also the surroundings. And we thought that that's an important point that we are taking from the global experience of the founders and try to implement it here. And really, truthfully, to be a data center entrepreneur is a bit odd. Why? You open a startup with a world of almost no startups. it's capital intensive, and it's very, very long term. And, so the data center world is, we have the technology, we have infrastructure, we have real estate. And it's combining them all together, but you have to have patience and you have to have a lot of capital behind you and smart capital behind you. So what this trio of founders was bringing to table was the expertise, the capital, and the local boots on the ground mentality, which for us was very, very, very crucial in the process, because when you build a data center, you have to deal with the regulator, you have to deal with the telcos, you have to deal with the power company. And there's a lot of critical aspects in the process that you have to understand. You have to master technology, to master infrastructure, to master real estate. And to me personally, it was just an interesting challenge, a real challenge, building massive. Now our campus is a $300 million project, massive project for a small country such as Israel. So it was definitely a challenge that very few could do. And I thought that we can do it. Now we're actually doing it. So
yeah, that certainly is a fascinating space. And one of the things I really enjoy about this industry is the tight-knit global nature of it. Since I've been in this space, worked on assignments across 6 continents and 16 countries. But I have to confess, I don't know a huge about the Israel market. So, can you talk to me about why you chose to launch the business there and some of the local nuances that make things both interesting and challenging in Israel?
So, as you mentioned, the data center business is global. So we chose to open the business in Israel because from a global perspective, Israel is just in the middle of Europe, Asia, and Africa. In the heart of the former spice route, and as we call it, the new data spice route. So we see a lot of cables coming from Europe to Asia and then go down to Africa through Israel. And we said to ourselves, how come there's not a data center industry in the country? We just ought to see. And as we moved along with the business, we understood that there is real demand, and our thesis was proved right. And besides that, Israel is a robust R&D market. You have over 5,000 R&D centers for global companies. So you have a lot of data. The thing is that data was stored in the basements of office buildings. And it just didn't have the right infrastructure. And then we did it. And we did it also because we are Israeli, or we have affinity towards the country. And we believe that it would be a good place to start due to that. But our plans are to grow, again, globally, but to grow from a connectivity perspective to neighboring countries with strong connectivity aspect. And the fact that the data center business is global really added a lot of value to our business due to having a global partner with global outreach to clients and the understanding of their design and operating needs.
Thanks for listening to A Word with Ward. We're not funded by anybody, so we don't have any hidden agenda. We're just talking to some of the most interesting people in data centers. We have had some help creating some of the questions from 6 Sense Consulting, business psychologists and executive coaches for teams and individuals. We partner with 6 Sense during the assessment phase when delivering exec search assignments. If you've got any burning questions you want to ask a data center entrepreneur in Series 1, drop me a line at ward@thewayofward.com. Before the break, me and Daniel were talking about his burning motivation to start NED, along with some of the local nuances of the Israeli market. Next, we're going to talk about what we can expect to see from the business in 2024 and beyond. We also talk about the future of the industry and what people aren't talking about that Daniel thinks they should be. You've touched on this already in terms of sounds like you're first speculative development is underway. But can you talk to me a little bit more about the stage the business is currently at and what we can expect to see over the next maybe 12 to 24 months?
So we have a pipeline. So we have 2 sites secured. We're bringing to market 50 megawatts in the next 3 years, which is a substantial amount. It's around 15% of the expected megawatts coming into the local market. And we're looking now at more sites, locking more sites and looking at other markets in EMEA that we want to build in. Because the data center business is a global one. And you need to have, data centers in many places. In order to really make a good operator, you need to have a good geographical spread in order to really service your clients in the best way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And could you talk to me around some of the biggest lessons that you've learned so far, and how do you keep going in the face of adversity when you have setbacks, which naturally everyone has?
So, biggest lesson is to be patient. So, coming from a world of banking and M&A, it's all about speed. So, quick deals, you need to get stuff done. You're working 14, 16 hours a day. And I still do work 14, 16 hours a day in the data center business, but it takes time. It takes time building a brand. It takes time building projects. It takes time talking to clients. So we are in talks with many clients, but it takes time to understand what they need, and it takes time to deliver them the right product. And to be patient means you need to be in the right place in the right time, but you need to deliver the right product. And for us, quality is everything. And in order to bring something to market of high quality, you need to have patience and to build things right. And for me, from coming from a high-paced world, coming to a more, let's say, slower pace, but we're doing it the right way. Because when you become a data center operator, you need to be trusted by your clients. You need to, you hold their most precious thing, which is information. And in order to really be the safeguard of this precious thing, you need to be a very responsible party. And therefore, we're building our data centers with really the most detail-oriented perspectives. And we are providing our potential customers with everything they need.
Great. Yeah, but I'm assuming that patient, long-term mindset could help to overcome a lot of the frustrations that could come with that, come with some of those things if you don't have that kind of outlook. Okay. Wanted to finish on a couple of questions that I've been asking to almost every guest. So the first one is quite a broad question, Daniel, so please feel free to answer it in any way you see fit. But what do you see as the future of the industry?
That's a big one, Ward. So I see an extremely prosperous future for the industry. Again, I'm not objective, but if you're reading about AI and growth of cloud and IoT, etc., you see that clearly there is a need for digital infrastructure to empower all of the innovation that our clients are looking to perform in the world. And as I see AI, growing, at least in announcements, we see basically AI becoming a commodity. And when you see that AI becomes a commodity, you understand that every country now would want to have their own AI capabilities, and people are going to trade information. So AI is something like the new oil. And data centers are the new refineries or oil tankers. So we basically create more data in the data center and pumping it out to the to the grid of information. And I think that the future of data center would be empowered by innovation, such as again AI and cloud, etc. And we're gonna see larger data centers in smaller footprints. So everyone is talking about 100, 150, 200 kW a rack and stuff, which sounds imaginary, right? But as we see innovation running in such high pace, I truly believe that the market would be dominated by areas of power, and would be dominated by countries who want to grow their AI capabilities, etc., and trade it with other countries. And therefore, the global aspect of data centers is going to evolve. There's no doubt. And we're going to see more and more data centers popping around the world. I actually read this interesting article a few days ago that finally there is over 1,000 hyperscale data centers around the world. And if we're just looking back 5 years ago, you had only 300 hyperscale data centers around the world. So this is a massive growth. And I think the exponential growth is going to grow higher and higher in terms of percentages. And I can tell you that based on our talks with potential customers, we're looking at demand who is going to go off the roof. And I truly have great expectations from the industry, and I am a big believer in it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we're only just getting started, aren't we? So, okay. And the final question I wanted to ask is, what, in your opinion, are people in the industry not talking about that you think they should be?
So I think that there's a couple, but if I choose one is risks. So as we talked about commoditizing of data, there is a lot of risks. So for instance, cybersecurity risks and hazardous risks, because again, data is the most important piece of an organization. And in the end of the day, people will want to harm it. So for instance, we build our data centers due to many geopolitical aspects. We build it underground, bunker style, cybersecurity protected, because we don't know who is going to try and attack critical data of an organization. So we want to just be on the safe side, both from an outdoor protection and security, and from a cybersecurity protection, as data is so precious to organizations. And in the end of the day, end users are going to pay for having their data secured, because it's important and it helps business grow and run.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, look, thank you very much for taking the time to join me today, Daniel. I really do wish you, your co-founders, and the broader team the very best of luck building the business. I'm sure you're going to be a fantastic success over the coming years.
Thank you very much, Ward. Thank you for having me.